As if things weren't interesting enough for the Democrats in terms of how this 2024 presidential election cycle is going, today they got news that made everybody inside the Democratic Party pull out their collective hair. Turns out an old friend is stopping by. Dr. Jill Stein announced today that she is seeking the nomination of the Green Party to be their candidate for president of the United States. Keep in mind, this is the very same Jill Stein that back in 2016, many Democrats will argue cost Hillary Clinton states that Donald Trump went on to win. So, what does all this mean for the 2024 election cycle? Hang on, folks. We're going to get into all this in just 1 second. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk. There's nothing worse than an unwelcome guest at a party, and as far as the Democrats are concerned, Dr. Jill Stein may be the most unwelcome guest of them all in terms of this party that we call the 2024 presidential election. She has left a bad taste in the mouth of Democrats across this country as they blame her for Hillary Clinton's defeat in 2016 to Donald Trump. But she announced today she's getting back in. She's seeking the Green Party's nomination to run for president again. So let's take a look at the headlines, do a little bit of analysis, and see what all we can figure out. Plus, there's also another piece of news that made Jill Stein's entrance into the race perhaps even worse. So let's get into all of it. We start with the New York Times and read the following headline: Jill Stein announces third party bid for president. Ms. Stein will seek the Green Party nomination. A spokesman said her last two campaigns with the party were unsuccessful. Depends on which perspective you're looking at it from. Article written by Maggie Astor, we read the following. Dr. Jill Stein, who ran unsuccessfully for president on the Green Party ticket in 2012 and 2016, will run again in 2024, she announced on Thursday, adding yet another name to the field, even as the two major parties appear almost certain to nominate the same two candidates who ran in 2020. Quote, Democrats have betrayed their promises for working people, youth, and climate again and again, while Republicans don't even make such promises in the first place, she said in a video announcing her candidacy and accused both parties of being a danger to our democracy. A spokesman for Ms. Stein's campaign, Lebo Capandano, confirmed that she intended again to seek the Green Party's nomination. The institutional backing would spare her some of the challenges in gaining ballot access that will be faced by two prominent independent candidates in the race: the progressive activist and Professor Cornel West, and the anti vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who left the Democratic Party's primary last month. The group of third party candidates could significantly complicate what looks like to be a likely rematch between President Biden and former President Donald J. Trump. Some of Mr. Biden's allies worried that third party candidates could siphon off support from him in swing states and make a Trump victory more likely, have been working aggressively to undermine these campaigns. Okay, let's get into this. I want to take you back in time to 2016. Jill Stein was on the ballot, not necessarily in every state, but in a number of them. And in the states that she was in, people argue that she siphoned votes away from Hillary Clinton, and in the end, those states went to Donald Trump. Well, maybe, maybe not. We'll let the analysts and the number crunchers look at all that. But that's the basic argument that the Democrats have made over the years. Mind you, they tend to gloss over the fact that Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate who ran around with an entitled sense of importance and ran a lackluster campaign. Her basic premise was, I'm Hillary, therefore make me president. Kind of hard to make that argument to the American people. They tend to believe that you ought to actually work for the office you're trying to seek, but I digress. Anyway, Democrats got over the fact that they looked over Hillary's shortcomings and had been blaming Jill Stein for years for the fact that Donald Trump won. Now she's come back in 2024 seeking her party's nomination. Now, it is not a foregone conclusion that she will be the Green Party's nominee. There's still a process that has to be gone through. There's a California entrepreneur who is currently also seeking the Green Party's nomination, and probably by the early part of next year, they'll have all that sorted out. So let's take a listen to Miss Stein's campaign video that she posted on Twitter. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but we'll listen to at least part of it. And I want you to get a feeling for where she's coming from and then start thinking about who is she going to hurt the most, Trump or Biden? So, folks, do me a favor and take a listen to this. We're going to play about 1 minute of it.
People are tired of being thrown under the bus by wealthy elites and their bought politicians. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, locked in student debt and medical debt, child poverty doubling, rising diseases of despair, growing hopelessness. The political system is broken. The two Wall Street parties are bought and paid for. Over 60% of us now say the bipartisan establishment's failed us, and we need a party that serves the people. I'm Jill Stein, and I'm running for president to offer that choice for the people outside of the failed two-party system. We'll put solutions to the crises we face, crushing inequality, endless war, and climate collapse. And we'll put these front and center in this election and on the ballot across the country.
Okay, we're going to stop it right there. But did you catch some of what she was saying? There's two things that stood out to me in that campaign announcement. One, we're going to talk about getting rid of endless wars, and that issue is going to resonate with Democrats. They're not wild about what Joe Biden is doing in Ukraine, and now we're getting into Israel and the Middle East. So the fact that she's going to focus on getting us out of these wars or military engagements around the globe is definitely going to cause Democrats to give her a look and maybe even give her the vote. And she talked about the fact of climate crisis. Now, Joe Biden has been a friend of the Green New Deal movement now for quite some time, so I'm not so sure that she's going to be able to siphon off environmental votes from Joe Biden as maybe she once would have. But I think the possibility is still there. On balance, I think Jill Stein is going to hurt Joe Biden a whole lot more than she's going to hurt Donald Trump. Now, that also begs the question, where is the Green Party on the ballot so far in the U.S.? Well, take a look at this. This comes directly from the Green Party's own website. The states in green, as you might imagine, are states where they are already on the ballot. Notice, the Green Party is already up in Michigan, and they're already in Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, they haven't gone on the ballot yet. However, as I understand it, it doesn't take a lot to get a party on the ballot. I think I saw somewhere a little earlier, and I'll double check this later, but it takes only 5,000 qualified signatures to get a party on the ballot statewide in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. If that's the case, it would be nothing to get Jill Stein there. Now, I bring all that up to say this. In a close election, if she could do the same thing again to Joe Biden that she managed to do to Hillary Clinton, keep in mind, Trump, Biden, RFK Jr., Cornel West, Jill Stein. There's been some debate about who's going to get hurt the most by who's on the ballot. And a lot of that also depends on which states they're on the ballot in. Now, let's just take it for the sake of argument and say that all five of those candidates, Biden, Trump, Cornel West, Robert Kennedy Jr., and Jill Stein, were on the ballot in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I don't know about you, but from my perspective, I think on balance, it's going to hurt Joe Biden a whole lot more than it's going to hurt Donald Trump. But the vote is the vote, and we'll see what actually happens. Now, Democrats, like I said, were already tearing their hair out over the news that Jill Stein decided to seek the Green Party's nomination again for president. But the day couldn't get any worse when they got another piece of news that has the potential to impact the presidential election in 2024. Take a look at this from NBC News. Centrist Democratic Joe Manchin says he will not seek re-election in 2024. Manchin's decision will make it harder for the Democratic Party to hold on to its West Virginia Senate seat next year. In an article written by Saful Kapoor and Julie Sirkin, centrist Democrat Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia announced Thursday he won't run for re-election next year, a much-anticipated decision that will reshape the battle for the Senate in 2024. Quote, after months of deliberation and long conversations with my family, I believe in my heart of hearts that I've accomplished what I set out to do for West Virginia. I have made one of the toughest decisions of my life and decided that I will not be running for re-election to the United States Senate. But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there's an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together, Manchin said in a written and video statement. To the West Virginians who have put their trust in me and fought side by side to make our state better, it's been an honor of my life to serve you. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to point out one particular thing in his announcement. Notice what he says. But I'm going to be traveling the country and speaking out to see if there's an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest fears that the Democratic Party has in this process is who could siphon off votes from Joe Biden. Now, one of the bigger worries that the Democrats have had is that if someone like a Joe Manchin were to retire from the United States Senate, would someone try to get him on the ballot as a candidate for president? Well, that worry may be about to come to fruition. Take a look at this. This is a statement from the No Labels Party. Quote, Senator Joe Manchin is a tireless voice for America's common sense majority and a longtime ally of the No Labels movement. The Senate will lose a great leader when he leaves, but we commend Joe Manchin for stepping down to lead a long overdue national conversation about solving America's biggest challenges, including inflation, an insecure border, out of control debt, and growing threats from abroad. Regarding our No Labels Unity Party ticket, we are gathering input from our members across the country to understand the kind of leaders they would like to see in the White House. As we have said from the beginning, we will make a decision by early 2024 about whether we will nominate a unity presidential ticket and who will be on it. Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep on coming and they keep getting worse and worse for the Democrats. It's bad enough that Jill Stein may wind up being the Green Party's nominee for president again, but if Joe Manchin goes on to become the No Labels nominee for president, then this could get even worse for the Democrats. Everywhere you turn, there's somebody on the ballot with the potential to siphon off votes from Joe Biden. Now, this is not to say that every candidate that's going to be running, Cornel West, Robert Kennedy Jr., Jill Stein, maybe even Joe Manchin, will all take votes off of Joe Biden exclusively. It's possible they could wind up hurting Donald Trump to one degree or another. But on balance, if I had to guess right now, I'd say the way it's shaping up, Stein, Cornel West, to some degree RFK Jr., and Manchin, if he gets in on the No Labels Unity ticket, could wind up hurting Joe Biden's chances in states that could potentially be close. And if that's the case, you've got a Donald Trump victory. If the Republicans can turn out the vote in a presidential election. And like I said the other day in my video, after what I saw on Tuesday, I'm not totally convinced. But let's assume for a moment they can. If they can, given all the number of candidates in this race, Donald Trump could go on to victory. But remains to be seen. But that's what I think about it. What do you think? As we start to wrap up this video, please do me some favors as always. Number 1, if you are not a subscriber to the channel, please do so. Number 2, please leave a comment below. I would love to know what you think about all this. Number 3, please share the video around. Number 4, hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure you're always aware when new videos, new live streams are coming out. And finally, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative, and I'll see you next time.